Welcome, my name's Leah from the Yoga Lunchbox, and this is the first in a series of videos that I'm going to be doing to support you in your home yoga practice. So there's plenty of videos out there that tell you how to do postures, or they give you sequences to do, and this is going to be something a little bit different. What I'm going to be focusing on is giving you tools so that you can play and explore within your body on the mat. In particular, I'm going to be looking at how to use your breath within the posture to bring it alive. So let's have a quick look at that first. What I want you to do is to come into the very worst Tadasana or mountain pose you could possibly do. So come into standing and just kind of slump, let your arms drop and kind of let your everything sag. Like this is something you would never ever do, but just come into it. And then from there, I want you to simply start breathing consciously. Nothing else. Don't think about your alignment. Don't think about fixing anything. Just come into conscious breathing. And if you're anything like me, what you would have found is that the moment you start to breathe with awareness, and I mean fully breathe, like right down into your belly, allowing your chest to expand, it is impossible to stay in that alignment. Your body begins to realign itself naturally. And that's what we want to work on. So I'm not going to be giving you any alignment cues per se as we go through these postures. What I will be doing is giving you ways to work with the breath. So two ways that we will work with the breath is tuning into the ascending breath and the descending breath. And we'll do that right now using a really simple pranayama. So again, coming into Tadasana or mountain pose simply means that you're standing there. And then from this position, you can see I naturally start to roll my shoulders back. It's because I know I have a tendency to do this. So maybe you need to roll your shoulders, maybe you need to move your head from side to side. Just listen to your own body and figure out, well, what do I need to do to find alignment here? And then bring full awareness to your breathing. So allowing yourself to take a really full exhale right from the pit of the belly. And then that creates space for the inhale to almost be automatic. Now what I want you to do as you keep breathing, on the inhale, get a sense of inhaling up the front of your body as it opens and softens. And then as you exhale, get a sense of exhaling down the back of your body, so through your sit bones, through your heels and into the earth, almost as if you're being supported by something holding you. So the inhale, you're softening and releasing, and the exhale, you're finding grounding and support. Now let's take that and add an arm movement to it. So keep that awareness of full breathing, the inhale opening you and the exhale supporting you, and then introduce this movement. So on an inhale, let your gaze follow your fingertips, shoulders stay plugged in as you rise all the way up the center, and then exhale down the center line. Very simple movement. The trick is to stay present as you're doing it. So let your gaze follow your fingertips, inhale, arms rise. Exhale down the center line. Gaze follows fingertips. Now I want you to keep doing this as I pause the talk. So you still inhale rising, exhale coming down. I also want you to introduce a dual focus. So as you're inhaling your arms up, I want you to notice that you're also releasing down the back of your body. So you've got this ascending inhale breath while there's a descending release through the back body. And these things balance each other. Okay, if you were to just inhale up, without that, you'd end up literally lifting off the ground. So I want you to tune into both of these things happening at the same time. And then when you're exhaling down, there's also a soft opening in the front of the body that's stopping you from sort of coming into yourself and keeping you in balance. So both of these things are working at the same time. So on the inhale, you're opening the front of the body, but you're aware of the grounding energy down the back. And as you exhale, you're also aware of the softening and the opening in the front body. And this takes time to get your head around. Well, it's not even your head you're getting around it. You're finding your way into it with your breath, okay? So if you get lost and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, come back to simplicity. Focus just on breath. Inhale and exhale, then introduce movement. Inhale, rise. Exhale, descend. And when you've firmly got yourself back inside your breath, then start to see if you can pay attention to the opposite happening, okay? So as you're inhaling, you're aware of the descending breath down the back of the body. Let's do 2 more like that. Okay. So this ascending breath and descending breath is at play in a lot of the postures that we do. So we're going to come into Uttanasana now, standing forward fold, and I'm going to show you how by tuning into this exact same breath movement, the posture itself will automatically align. So we'll come into it the same way. So as you inhale, let's do it with our hips, feet hip width apart. So just toe heel your feet, make sure your feet are straight like railroad tracks, okay? You can even lift your toes up, spread them wide so you can feel all 4 corners of your feet grounding. And then inhale, rise. And as you exhale, hinge from your hips. So get a sense of the tailbone extending back and you're drawing up through the pelvic floor, hinging right over top of the hips. Arms are coming down the center line. We'll bring the hands onto the top of the thighs and press back. So when we bend forward, the key thing here is it's the movement of the pelvis, okay? So for a lot of us, when we're tight, the pelvis doesn't move a lot. We might even actually only get to here, and then we start to do this. It's like, I can't reach my toes. What I'd rather see you do is get to here and go, this is where I need to be for me right now, okay? So you need to get the movement happening from the pelvis. So your tailbone is literally doing like it's coming from facing downward and it's doing this 180, so eventually it faces straight up. So if you can tune into your tailbone and get that movement. Hands come onto the thighs, going as far forward as is comfortable for you, but not further than halfway. And we're going to do what I use to open up the hips. So as you exhale, press back through one hip and bend the opposite knee. And then inhale to center, exhale, pressing back. So now we're beginning to play and explore in the movement. So you're not going straight into the forward bend. You're just seeing, well, how do my hips feel? How's my pelvis moving over top of my thigh bones? What's going on down the outside of my legs? So you're finding space in the hips and space in the hip joints. Because for a lot of us, when we're sitting all day, we collapse down into our hip joints and the lower back sinks down. You want to get lift and rise out of those hip joints, and this is an awesome way to do it. So this is how I usually go into my forward bends every time, simply because I still feel quite tight and this helps me to release into them. All right, once you feel like, yeah, I've released enough, I'm ready to go further. So you may need to bend your knees, bring your hands directly under your shoulders and shift your weight forward a little bit. Make sure your spine is nice and long, right from crowny head to tailbone. So you're lengthening. And your spine here is still an extension, so it's a little mini back bend almost, okay? Take a breath, bend the knees as much as you need to. So you may be able to straighten your legs, you may need them bent to do this. And then I want you to just slowly draw up slightly into the lower belly, and this creates space across the pelvis before you then fold down. Just releasing. And now we're going to tune into those same breath energies that I've been talking about. So as you inhale, get a sense of the inhale rising up the back of the legs to the tailbone, up towards the sky. As you exhale, get a sense of releasing right from the pelvis through the torso all the way down towards the ground. Inhales rise, exhales melt. Inhales rise, exhales melt. So by tuning into the breath, when you're in the posture, it automatically aligns yourself. Your legs lengthen, your tailbone lifts, and your torso melts right from here. Okay. There's other ways to play in a forward bend as well, and I want to look at a couple of those things. When you're practicing at home, the beauty is you can spend as much time as you like on your mat in one particular posture. So this is about learning to be yoga rather than do yoga. It's not like I'm just going to do a forward bend and then it's done and you move on. It's like I'm going to play with this forward bend and see what's happening for my body and how it's going. So let's come back into a forward bend. Always moving mindfully with the breath. Now, ways you might consider working. See how my shoulders have a tendency to hunch up, and I need to practice drawing them back. So for me, sometimes just moving my shoulders around helps to remind myself of that knee. Another way I can work with my shoulders is to interlace my arms and allow my shoulders to come over, and see how my head wants to release now. So just letting that happen, totally releasing through the neck. Something else that you might want to do is explore just adding a little twist. So if you bring one hand to the outside of the same knee, opposite hand to the ankle, and just keeping the hip square, just gently open into a little twist, releasing any tension in the side body, but also sometimes I get a nice crack doing that, which feels good. And as you do this, if you're doing it mindfully with the breath, the body will start to move itself according to what it needs. You can see now my knees are walking out. According to what it needs to find a release. You may want to eventually hold your toes and come into a full forward fold. But as you can see, it took me a long time of playing around with a few different things before I got to this place, and now it feels like my body's ready to fully express into forward fold. And then I come back to the breath again. Inhale, rising, exhale, melting. And there are actually infinite variations of ways to play in the posture. That's just a few suggestions to get you going. The key thing is be totally present with your breath when you go into the forward fold. Be curious and allow your body to do a couple of movements and see where it takes you, okay? So this is the lesson for today, if you like, is that we're looking at playing with the ascending breath and the descending breath, okay? So ascending and descending. So you can play with the simple pranayama, breath with movement here, and then you can work into your forward fold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you going into a forward bend in complete silence, and maybe just doing a minute or so of how I would do that right now, okay? So you can choose to keep watching if you want, or you can just keep playing yourself, and I will see you next week with another one of these. So thank you so much. My name's Leah, and here's how I'm going to play with my forward fold now.